there are external players who now know or believe that a disorderly Congo is good.
There's a rejection of African standby force by the imperialist forces in the West because they benefit out of the instability of DRC and Africa in particular. If there is any country that was messed up right from the beginning, was DRC. They've been destabilizing that country for many years because they want those minerals in the DRC. They even created illegal landing strips to land in DRC, to steal directly from DRC and leave.
Eastern Congo is in trouble again. The recent resurgence of the M23 rebel group has displaced over 800,000 people, creating new waves of suffering in a region long accustomed to pain. While minerals beneath Congo's soil are undoubtedly part of the story, the full picture includes internal weaknesses, betrayal by some African leaders, and the greed of global actors. South Africa's Julius Malema warns, Congo's weakness is no accident. It is designed to enable outsiders to loot its wealth. PLO Lumumba from Kenya echoes this sentiment. He says, Africa is complicit in its own exploitation. These words challenge us to look at both external and internal forces keeping Congo in turmoil. The DRC's instability is rooted in its history. During Mobutu's 32-year rule, corruption became entrenched. Public institutions collapsed, leaving a vacuum that armed groups exploit until today. Even now, some government officials benefit from disorder, diverting state funds and enabling illicit activities. Ethnic rivalries, especially in Eastern DRC, have further stoked violence. The M23, for instance, claims to represent the Tutsi community, but according to investigations and experts, it supposedly appears that their actions often serve as a front for power struggle over land, resources, and influence. While internal failures are significant, the role of foreign actors in Congo's crisis is undeniable. Neighboring countries have long been accused of supporting rebel groups to exploit Congo's resources. A 2023 United Nations report confirms that forces from neighboring countries provide arms and logistics to support rebel groups and facilitate networks for smuggling gold and coltan from Congo's mines. Beyond the region, global corporations depend on Congo's minerals for products like smartphones and electric vehicles. Tech giants like Apple, Tesla, and Samsung source cobalt and coltan from supply chains that often lead back to conflict zones. Amnesty International's reports have reportedly highlighted how these companies fail to ensure their minerals are conflict-free. The United States and European nations have often turned a blind eye to the role of multinational corporations, prioritizing cheap resources over accountability. Meanwhile, China has become one of the largest investors in DRC's mining sector. Companies like China Molybdenum have been accused of labor exploitation and environmental degradation. A painful reality is a collaboration between African leaders and foreign powers in looting Congo's wealth. Congo's tragedy is not unique. Across Africa, natural resources have fueled conflicts. In Sierra Leone, the diamond trade funded a brutal civil war, immortalized as blood diamonds. In Nigeria, oil has fueled insurgencies and environmental destruction in Niger Delta. In Angola, oil wealth prolonged decades of war, enriching elites while ordinary citizens suffered. In each case, both local and foreign actors bear responsibility. This pattern of resource-driven conflict must end if Africa is to achieve true independence and prosperity. Today, Mozambique, in Cabo Delgado, Central African Republic, Sudan and South Sudan are some of the theaters where you see conflicts. These look like internal conflicts fueled by ethnicism, disenfranchisement, and other seemingly internal matters. However, the common denominator is that these conflicts happen in places where you have a lot of natural resources, and you wonder if it's a coincidence.
And these armed groups are financing the activities through illegal mining.
The M23 rebellion did not emerge from nowhere. Their grievances could be legitimate. The DRC has not been known for equitable governance over the years. Decades of misrule, marginalization, and ethnic tensions have left many communities feeling abandoned. The Congolese state has often failed to provide security, infrastructure, and economic opportunities in the East, leaving a power vacuum that armed groups have exploited. But while the M23 claims to be fighting for justice, we must ask, why do they operate in some of the most resource-rich areas in Congo? Why are they so well trained and disciplined with access to advanced weaponry? These factors suggest that M23, like many before them, may be a tool for external actors who profit from internal divisions. In a region where billions of dollars in minerals flow out each year, armed groups are rarely just grassroots movements. They are often part of a larger, more sinister game. This is Congo's eternal tragedy. The country has never had a fair chance to address its own internal struggles because it has always been forced to focus on survival in a world of predators. Every attempt at stability is met with new crises, new rebellions, and new exploiters, both foreign and domestic. It is time we stop looking at these conflicts in isolation and start seeing them probably as a coordinated, systematic effort to keep the DRC weak, divided, and open for looting. Right after the M23 rebel group captured the city of Goma, large-scale protests erupted in Kinshasa as the Congolese citizens expressed anger over perceived foreign involvement in the eastern DRC conflict. Demonstrators vandalized and set fire to embassies, including those of France, Belgium, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and the United States, accusing these nations of complicity in the ongoing instability. The recent attacks on foreign embassies in Kinshasa are a powerful indication that foreign involvement in Congo's conflict is not just a theory, but it is an open secret understood even by ordinary citizens. The Congolese people, who have endured decades of war and instability despite living in one of the world's richest lands, know that these conflicts are not purely internal. They see how every rebellion conveniently arises in mineral-rich zones, how armed groups access advanced weaponry, and how foreign powers, whether neighboring governments, multinational corporations, or geopolitical players, always seem to have a hand in the chaos. Yet, despite this awareness, the Congolese state, weakened by corruption and constant crisis, remains unable to challenge these forces, leaving its people in a perpetual cycle of conflict, suffering, and exploitation.
What is important is we cannot allow black-on-black violence. In whose interest is that? Why do you take up arms to kill other fellow Africans?
If this documentary inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Together we can tell the stories that matter and spark the change Africa needs. Thank you for watching and listening. See you next time.